Here's Patrick Johnston. He covers the Canucks for the province and Post Media. He's juggling children today,
He's raising drivers.
How are you?
Farther away from it, but yes.
Mm-hmm.
Also trying to sort out Whitecaps tiebreakers and all that kind of thing.
Oh, my God.
That is quite an exercise, quite a labyrinth to go down CONCACAF tiebreakers.
Travel to Monterrey. What's the plan there? No.
Oh, don't talk to me. That'd be JJ. If anybody goes anywhere, it's JJ.
Yes. Okay. JJ's earned it. I mean, he's been there every step of the way with this incredible story.
Yeah.
There's another incredible story going on in the city sports scene. Perhaps you've heard.
Less rosy.
Were you at all surprised that we saw the news from Talk It Tuesday, Peach?
Well, I believe I'd said it was 60-40 that he wouldn't be back. So no, I guess I'm not surprised. In the end, it comes down to, you poke around, it comes down to what I wrote yesterday, which is that this is a deep concern about the future of Quinn Hughes. And if you are concerned about the future of Quinn Hughes, this is a big red flag, because this is a guy that liked it here. He liked this team. He liked the organization and was made a huge offer, and he still said no. So it's not good days here at all.
Is he waiting for Sheldon Keefe to walk the plank and be reunited with all the? Do they have this big conspiratorial plan to meet in New Jersey in 2 years?
Well, I think you're right in saying that it's the meetup is not obvious. Like, there are obviously the jobs that the easy ones, like, oh, will he go to Philly, so on, so on, so on. But like, what happens in Colorado? Like, if they lose to Dallas, what happens there? Like, there are jobs. I'm not saying I know that, but I'm just saying, like, that's an example of something that might come open, because they won the Stanley Cup, but they've crashed and burned in the playoffs and since then. And despite having these two elite players, I'm just saying that the point is that he has now set the table wide open for himself. Like, there are going to be opportunities that appear that we have not considered yet. And New Jersey, sure, but that seems like a long time away. I think more than likely it's quite possibly an option that we haven't even considered yet.
I would advise Rick to stay away from New Jersey. If you're familiar with his personal history, once upon a time, some associates in New Jersey got him and the Gretzky's in trouble. So,
associates.
Any chance John Cooper shakes free and becomes is there any world where they could lure the lawyer from Prince George, all his Stanley Cup rings and Four Nations jewelry back home?
Sure. John, you've spent a decade living in a tax-free state. You want to come back?
In the sunshine, working for the best owner in the National Hockey League, lifting cups, coaching superstars who want to be there and sign team-friendly deals. So come on down,
the
baby.
mirror opposite of that situation is here.
Here the thing is, you can just hang out with the family in White Rock on days that you're not buried in your business at Rogers.
Not quite the same.
Not quite the same pitch. No, not going to happen.
I mean, like, here's the question: they threw a bunch of money at Rick Tocchet. Will they throw a bunch of money at someone else? Right? Like, that's
very good question
here. So if they're willing to throw money around, I'm sure there are some interesting coaches that could be convinced. I just am skeptical at this point. I don't know. It's a bad situation to be in, and I have a hard time trying to spin something positive out of this right now.
Hey, do you believe it was more than tokenism when he said Manny Malhotra is a candidate? Rutherford, that is.
I mean, the press conference in the end, I mean, credit to Rutherford for making himself available. It was a bit of a pulled together last minute thing. I mean, I think about the question that I threw at him about his own future, and it was clear he hadn't been expecting that, and he had paused to collect sort of an answer. That we discussed any candidates. I mean, it was not a surprise. Of course, he knew he would be asked about Manny. Yeah, of course Manny will be a candidate. Like, Manny's had a good year. Does that mean, he said himself, I don't think we're going to rush into this. We need to figure out who's available, but we also can't wait because they need to know for recruiting purposes. Like, they're going to have to sign guys this summer. Like, those guys need to know who their coach is going to be.
Well, and they're also in a derby here with a bunch of other teams that are looking for coaches, right?
Yeah.
Like and Jim mentioned that, and he's 100% right.
Let me put them into two categories, like the David Carl, Vellucci, Malhotra type, or veteran, we know that guy. He's been the coach here, there, and everywhere type. Those, you put it into two big categories. Which are you putting the money on?
Well,
Gerard Gallant, I guess. Guys.
Yeah, I mean, like, I suppose the general track record. It's interesting. What's the track record here, right? We know the Tortorella story, right? That was an ownership preference. That was the big. Let's make a big move, right? But the two coaches after that were lesser known names. Whether that was ownership or that was more about Jim Benning or that was Trevor Linden or some other variable. They went with two lesser known coaches, guys that had reputations as being kind of maybe the next thing, but not big names. And then obviously Bruce Boudreau was available, and Rick Tocchet was an interesting, though not necessarily like star candidate quality, but an interesting candidate these guys really like. So I have a hard time judging which way they'll go. I think they will go with a guy that it seems to me, I feel like they'll go with someone they're familiar with, given the fact that they want to do this not rush, but we can't wait kind of situation. So yeah, I mean, if Laviolette's a guy, I mean, Jim was asked about him and he didn't run away from the idea as a guy that he knows from way back when and had some success with. I don't think there's necessarily saying that he is the clubhouse leader, but certainly I think they are going to look at any and all candidates, and we'll see where they land.
If I'm Quinn Hughes, I could imagine Quinn Hughes being upset by both of the paths. By the way, I could imagine Quinn Hughes saying, "Really, Laviolette to come scream at us? Gerard Gallant is making stop number 10 or whatever with that." And then I could see him say, bringing in another guy, going, "Really, we're getting a brand new green rookie here." Like, I could see, I don't know what to think here, what Quinn Hughes would want.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big question for him for sure. I mean, if you're Quinn Hughes, you're sitting back going, whoa, what do I got to do this year? Like, what position am I in? Like, do I want to get ahead of this and just ask for a move now? I think the advice to him would be go out and have a huge season. Make yourself as desirable as possible, and then play out, see what happens.
I mean, I'm not sure how much upside and potential he has left on desirability. Like, I think,
I get it. Yeah,
he's a 10 out of 10.
Come back, win the Norris again. And
then
you can still do that.
I'm not even sure that enhances trade value, Patrick, because you just get the 1 year. Like, I think the trade value is never higher than right now.
You're probably right. Yeah. But I mean, that's for the team's consideration, right? For him, he has another hot season. Like, that's the thing, is that he knows he's going to be the guy, right? Mm-hmm. And if by some miracle he drags Elias Pettersson back to who he's supposed to be, kudos to him,
So, hear my mouth on Laviolette here, and why he might be the perfect candidate for them. Familiar with Jim Rutherford, proven with a Stanley Cup ring. Remember, these guys were all talking about the rings and when they first got here. Onto a 7th team, so it's not like he could be as choosy as other quote-unquote name coaches, and has probably made a whole lot of money whereby, he's going to demand more than a Manny Malhotra or someone like that, but he's not going to demand like Tocchet or top of scale type of money, so he fits financially for them too. When I put all of that together, I just wonder whether you could find ownership and managerial alignment behind Peter Laviolette. And then the question is, does Quinn Hughes actually have a say, or are they just going to sort of consult him and keep him apprised of the process?
It's hard to imagine him having an actual say.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think we're in that.
It would be irregular for the National
I don't
Hockey
think we're in,
League.
and I don't think that's not how Jim Rutherford operates, right? Like,
no, fair.
I just don't think that. Would you play for this guy? Like, No, I don't think that's a question that's.
No, it's Quinn. What do you think of Peter Laviolette? What have you heard of Peter Laviolette from your? I would think it'd be a question like that.
Perhaps I have a hard time buying that, but perhaps you never
Really.
I just like I think Jim Rutherford is going to make a list of people who he thinks he knows. He'll ask Patrick Allvin, "What do you think of this guy? What do you think of that guy?" And then they'll start calling who they can call.
Let's square something away here. They made a fair deal for sure to talk it. Did they reach his number? Did they reach his number? Do you think?
I think. Yeah, I the numbers that are being thrown out there, that is exactly what I've heard. You know, I don't know if it was 5x5 or it was just short of that. It was huge. It was a huge deal. There's absolutely no doubt about it. There was no question of, in the end, ownership saw the situation and said, "Let's." They put the money there. To their credit, we rarely give them credit, but they did put the money there. This was not a financial decision.
Do you think Rick coaches in the NHL next season?
Yes. I think he's yes, I do. I think he's desirable. I mean, there's more money to be made doing that than doing TV. I think he loves coaching. Like, that is the number one thing for him. As someone who spent 2.5 years talking to him almost every day during the hockey season, like, this is a guy that loves coaching. This is his passion. He's fascinated by stuff. He's intensely curious. He's 61. Like, he's still got working years left. This is what he wants to be. He has spent much of the last 20 years as a coach, and certainly is a guy who gets up and every day relishes the challenge of making himself better and making his team better.
What do you think ownership thinks of all this right now? What do you think about the departure of Talkett in particular, but also on the broader scope of there's a lot of noise again. My goodness.
Well,
their names are getting dragged back into it because people go to the top when the shit hits the fan.
And
we're back.
I'm going to doubt ownership is looking into the mirror and going, "What was our role in contributing to all this?" But nevertheless,
but we're back to the dark decade, right? Like the Rutherford regime has delivered one playoff run, right?
Yeah. And about 1 year of quiet and solitude, right? Like last year, for the most part, was quiet and solitude. This year was noise, nonstop.
This was back to everything, and everything we've sadly gotten used to in the last 10 years, basically. Like it is for this year. I don't think is quote on ownership, but it's certainly. The overall trend is hard to ignore while they've been in charge, right? Like there is that overall pattern of managers change, coaches change, chaos reigns. And we know how chaotic internally they were this year. I don't know if they could have anticipated what the Canucks, could have anticipated the true scale of blow up that occurred between Pettersson and Miller. That set the course for the entire season, and I think we're still feeling the effects of it, right? Like, this is a team that openly knows they need to find another top six forward because they lost one of the guys they built the team around.
There are some rumors that the Aquilinis might want to sell. Do you believe that?
Listen, I've reported this before over the years. Like, they have taken calls over the years and they have not immediately hung up the phone, right? Now, the question continues to be, would they ever sell the building, right? Because the team costs money, right? Concerts do not cost much money. They make you a lot of money. And that has been consistently their biggest preference, is to put as many concerts as they can in there. And the hockey thing has become more complicated. We can see the kind of money they've started chasing and the kind of money they don't particularly concern themselves. They go for high end because I guess they've figured out that for what they're trying to chase after, the margins there are better. It is a very precarious situation. And I know that, I saw Nick Kyprios has made a report about this. It's something I'm continually kicking tires on. What is the state of affairs? I don't have anything one way or another right now. Okay. But none of that talk would surprise me given everything I've heard over the years.
I'm sorry, Kiprios has them for sale, or?
Well, no. Someone sent it to me just before we came on air. Here.
Oh, okay.
One question. Here, I'll read it. One question starting to circulate out of Vancouver is whether or not the Aquilini family is contemplating selling part or majority of the Canucks. There's speculation that Luigi, the founder of Aquilini Investment Group, and his two sons, Paolo and Roberto, who have no active roles in the hockey club, may have grown a tad tired of the constant drama surrounding the team. Canucks are run by Luigi's eldest son, Francesco, who's the chairman and governor, and market value for the hockey club, and Rogers Arena is expected around $2 to $3 billion. Which reads like people going, could they be happy with everything that's gone on?
But honestly, like, I've heard this for years, right?
That's what I mean.
The
right?
two brothers, mainly Roberto and Luigi, sit there and look at it and go, what the hell are we doing?
Well, Paulo's not involved at all.
Our name gets dragged. We used to make a lot of money on this team. Now we don't make as much money because we don't win as many games, and we don't sell out the building as much and sell this, that, and the other thing. So that has been ongoing. Now, the estate planning side of this is interesting because Luigi's in his early to mid-90s. And so if you don't have clear estate planning and Roberto and Paolo, if not other heirs, have any kind of slice of the Vancouver Canucks and want to be bought out, those are checks I don't think Francesco can write.
No.
You're right about the building. Now, of course, who's going to buy the team if you don't own and control the building?
Exactly.
But it is a much more complicated, difficult, and expensive purchase of team and building because you're also buying that land in downtown Vancouver, not to mention like what becomes of the residential towers that are attached to everything there.
Well, I mean, the thing, I mean, I know we're not a property development podcast, but like
we could start one.
But Patrick dabbles in this reporting if you've heard him here before.
I mean, listen, just by the way, for context, they made $100 million in the 2010-11 season. Now that was they played the maximum number of hockey games possible that season.
That's right. And sold them all out. Yeah.
Right. But like that's the comparison point. Like as far they still make money as far as we know, right?
I think
so.
I think
nearly as much money as they did then. And part of the reason why they make money is because they have kept going for lean staffing and young staffing and less costly staffing. So,
but also player costs have gotten significant since then, and
player costs have gone up, and so but like they
to compensate, they churn out staff.
Yeah, and they were very quick to like really to hike ticket prices based on one winning season. Again, we've talked about it a million times. They don't understand goodwill. They understand leverage and leaning on people.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Like there's a very dollar-minded, there's a finance. Someone pointed out there's a finance mindset here, which fair enough, but it's not one that's terribly interested in sort of the people aspect of things.
Yeah. Just last question for you. Last night I had dinner with Stephen Brunt, who's in town doing some work. 40 years in the industry, all those years as a Globe and Mail columnist and as a host on the Fan in Toronto. He and not the biggest hockey guy, like that, not his favorite sport, and he didn't make his name covering hockey.
No.
He says to me last night, I listened to these two Jim Rutherford press conferences. He says, Matt, they may be the two most extraordinary NHL press conferences I've heard in my career. And like he was asking me questions about this market and have you taken a step back and sort of taken stock of everything that has been said and unleashed? And now the noise around the
Quinn Hughes usually calls me back. He hasn't called me back.
Exactly.
I don't know what it means.
That's one of the lines he pulled out. He's like, are you kidding me? Like the guy is giving you a blow by blow of his day to day. Have you taken stock of just how extraordinary this latest period in Canucks history is? Because I know it's one of many chapters in Canucks history. Eddie got it right, never boring with the book. But have you taken stock?
They give us so much content, PJ, and they really shouldn't. They really shouldn't.
I had to call Eddie. I said, Eddie, you're going to have to write a whole new chapter.
Yes.
Oh, of course.
Yes.
You can write a whole new book.
Yes.
On this season. Part 2.
I'm going to do that book.
Well, get busy.
Oh, Christ. Well, yes, I mean, as I wrote, I mean, it wasn't even, I went in with the question and he gave me the answer. And I said, Jim, coaches don't leave. Like they don't.
No.
It's very hard. If you go over the list, there's 3 that I could think of, and basically couldn't find any others in the last, I don't know.
We were talking about this too. Larry Robinson and who else?
Peters and Babcock, like for terrible reasons, resign. And then you have Paul Maurice because he got burned out. Sorry, did you say someone else?
Larry Robinson.
Yeah, Larry Robinson.
Which was what, 20 years ago?
Yeah.
Some time ago.
Right? Yeah. Like Paul Maurice was burned out in Winnipeg. That's it.
Yeah.
So,
but it was after a long run. But after a long run, not after 2.5 years.
Yeah, after a long run. It was in many ways kind of a normal thing. You know, he's like, I've been doing this a long time. I need a break. Like, fair enough. Yeah, that alone, and then you're right. Like Jim Rutherford being honest and fully, you know, I'd say for the most part, fully truthful in his answers, and we're in a pretty stunning moment because I think he knows what we all see. Like there's a lot to be dealt with here. You know, what they're going to do with Pettersson. Like are they going to actually move him? I think there's a really strong chance they move him here.
Under Benning, Vancouver was that dog in the burning house meme, sipping coffee. This is fine.
It's fine.
Under this management, the dog is going, the house is burning. Like he's being honest.
Yeah.
He's not leaving, but it's, you know, it's crazy.
And as I noted last week, like this is Jim Rutherford stepping up and saying, I'm in charge and things have gone badly.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I asked him, he said, listen, I am not happy. I said, what's your future like here? And he goes, I am not happy. This is on me. This last year has not gone well. So in many ways vowing to fix this.
Yeah.
But we'll see if he can, because there's the problems are so staggering, and they're so far off where they were a year ago.
I know you got to run. You got children to take to appointments, but I just want to pick up. You think there's now a strong chance of trading Pettersson? Because I'd be of the opinion. I think there's a better chance now that he stays. Now that the head coach he hasn't meshed with is gone.
I always thought it was there was a non-zero chance. I think it's bigger than non-zero. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think there's a strong possibility now.
Okay. Get your sunscreen on. All right. We'll catch up next week. Nice to see you.
Well, that's fine now.
Thank you.